Hey guys, it's Randy here with Direct Action. Myself and Canadian Caliber on the range today. We're going to test out a Beretta 1301. And we're going to test out the Mossberg 940 Pro. And my background, I had a lot of trigger time with the Benelli M4. So I don't have a lot of trigger time with these two platforms. So we'll test out the Beretta first, give you some feedback, let you know how I feel about it, and then we'll try out the Mossberg 940. Direct Action is a business providing tactical firearms training, CQB, any tactical training, primarily for law enforcement. Do a little bit with our military and a little bit for our general public as well. All right, guys, so Canadian Caliber reached out to me. They're asking for an opinion. A lot of questions are coming out about semi-automatic platforms for competition shooting, for tactical application, when and where one platform might be utilized over another. So, before giving any type of opinion, I got to get a little bit of trigger time on these guns, let them know how it feels, and then be able to give some legitimate feedback. Following video, we're also going to talk about the application benefits, pros and cons to pump action. So we've got two different platforms here, a Remington 870 and a Mossberg 590. So we'll go through the intricacies of pump action versus semi-automatic and give some feedback to the viewers. All right, we're going to start off with the Mossberg 940 Pro SPX. The way it's set up with all the furniture is the way it comes, so as is. We're going to run a little bit of slug through the gun. We're going to run a little bit of buckshot through the gun, and we'll see how it performs. First impression, I really like the trigger. It's a nice, smooth reset. This is a nice feel in the shoulder. Slug, buckshot, I mean, there's some recoil for sure to manage. I find it is light. It's lighter than I anticipated, so I was under anticipating how much I would really have to muckle onto the fore end of the gun. But after a couple of rounds, just made that quick adjustment. So first impression, nice. But also, I don't know if you picked up on it or not, so trying to reload the gun twice, I had to grab onto the charging handle to help feed the gun. So I'll run it again. I mean, first time shooting, and we'll see how it goes with the reloads. All right, so I'll load it up with some slug. I'll fire a few rounds of slug, and then we'll change over with the, a buckshot. We'll load up a buckshot, and then we'll do a changeover with some slug rounds. So second time it happened with a reload. So hitting the bolt catch, it's catching up on a little bit on the round. So whether that's a round issue, whether that's a mechanism issue, probably have to fire a few different flavors of ammunition to see what prescription works well with that platform. Sometimes the ingredient of the shot shell in relation to the gun does matter. So finding that sweet spot of what shell feeds the gun well, just to avoid having that issue with the bolt catch. All right, so now we'll load up the Mossberg 940 Pro, the tactical version with some lighter load. So we have number 9 bird shot here. I do like the loading mechanism. I like the way that feels. The lifter tray is smooth, and finding the magazine tube, that feels smooth as you're loading the gun. It's nice. There we go. It could be, it could just be a matter of a little bit of break-in period. It's a brand new gun. Not to hack on it, but it doesn't leave you with a lot of confidence on the reloads there. But maybe it's just a break-in thing. After it gets broken in a little bit of oil, a little bit of grease, a little bit of trigger time, and that'll smooth it out, I'm sure. Nice platform overall. The only takeaway I would say right now is I'd consider maybe a little bit larger charging handle, so that needs to be just a little bit bigger. The bolt release is nice, but we had a couple of issues now with the ammo not chambering properly. So good platform, nice platform. But now let's take a trip to Europe and we'll try the Italian version of the 1301. All right, guys, here we go. So we got the 1301. This is the Mod 2 Gen 2. So this is the American setup version. So first picking it up, what I noticed about it in comparison to the 940 is the charging handle is a little bit larger, so a little bit more purchase right off the get, and it is a little bit lighter too. So we'll see how the recoil management runs with the buckshot and the slug round. In relation, in comparison to the 940, this platform is going to run us about $1,000 more. So $1,000 premium in relation to the 940. Load it up. All set?
Yep.
So now we'll load up the 1301 with a little bit lighter load. So we'll go with number 9 birdshot, and we'll see how it performs. Set. First impression, I prefer the 940. First impression, I find that this is a really light forend. It's even lighter than the 940, so I noticed that when I started firing a little bit faster. The trigger feels a little bit better than the 940. This feels a little bit chunkier, so it's a little not as smooth. The trigger's not as smooth, but I gotta be honest, I gotta give both these guns a little bit more love and respect before I can give you a true verdict. But first impression, literally just picking both these guns up off the table. If somebody said you got to pick one and it has nothing to do with the price, I would go with the 940. Pros and cons, what I didn't like about the 940 is a couple of reloads. The shell didn't chamber properly, so that's an issue for me. In relation to firing the M4 a lot, what I also found is certain ammunition natures will be a little bit more forgiving to the platform. So I had stoppages with the M4, not often, but it had a lot to do with certain ammunition natures, certain shell natures. So with the 1301, we didn't have any issues with the reloads. When we switched from buckshot to the changeover to the slug round, there was no issue, so that's a pro. I mean, don't get me wrong, the trigger does feel good, but in relation to the 940, I just like the way the 940 trigger feels. So in comparison to the M4 that I have at home, the one that I use, pretty regularly for any shotgun work, semi-automatic specific, comparing the different platforms, the M4 is expensive as well. It's not a cheap gun, but the way that I have the Benelli M4 set up is for my use, right? So each person might be a little bit different. Respecting that, it took some time to figure out what ammunition worked well with the Benelli M4. Now that I have that prescription dialed in, I know it's reliable. It's a reliable platform. Not saying that these two would not be, of course. I mean, they're selling off the shelf for a reason. My first take on these two guns is nice platform for sure. The Beretta 1301, nice platform. The 940, nice platform as well. If somebody told me you've got to pick one and only one, right now, only firing 10, 15 shells between the two platforms, I would take the 940. Randy with Direct Action here. Follow us on the YouTube channel. Follow Canadian Caliber. Give them a thumbs up and a like. Stay tuned, guys, for part 2. When we get into the next part, more tactical related for a pump action version of a shotgun variation.